Any questions at this point?
Yeah, when we were talking about the algae and introducing CO2 from other sources, how clean does that CO2 have to be? Like if there's carbon monoxide or something in the CO2, in that gas, does that produce a problem with the algae, or?
Well, CO2 from coal-fired power plants can have heavy metals in it, various nasty things, so you might use it for way processing there. CO2 from an ethanol facility is going to be squeaky clean.
Right.
That's going to be great.
I'm kind of wondering, like, if the CO2 off of one of these power pellets would be clean enough.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, probably pretty good. You've got gas analyzers, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have a gas analyzer. And maybe you've got done some characterization of the gases.
Yeah, we did. That'll be up on the wiki, the GEC wiki.
I'll check it.
Yeah. And even talk to Barrett. You might be able to point at some specific users that have put up data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Have you guys, from a, you have all these different alternatives and promoting the entrepreneurial aspect of it, it sounded to me as we did introductions, a lot of people are kind of looking for different ways to implement entrepreneurial activities. Have you done any analysis of what the most promising are? Like, algae might be big reward, but very costly. Same thing with large methanol production. Have you looked at like smaller entrepreneurial cost benefit, market opportunity, any of that sort of thing?
You ever thought about that?
I think that one of the things with ethanol, one of the things that people have been discovering is these enormous ethanol plants, centralized ethanol plants, have a huge problem in that getting the feedstock to the plant takes a lot of energy, and then the byproduct is a very good animal feed, but then that has to get transported. So one of the things that we're really looking at is the possibility of having small ethanol plants that move to the feed from feedstock to feedstock. And so we think that's a much better economic model, something where the plant moves instead of moving the feedstocks. And I think that's going to be a successful model. I'm looking mostly, I'm more interested in supporting farmers than I am creating big businesses. But at the same time, I think there are opportunities there. I think there are going to be a lot of opportunities for, the algae to fuel, I think, is something that's got some significant technological hurdles to jump through, but algae for making food products, animal feeds, fertilizers, nutraceuticals, those opportunities are there right now. Those are definitely available. I think also with the methane digestion, we're looking now at whether or not we have an on-site sewage treatment plant on our campus. We think that we may be able to create enough methane off of our waste products there to at least operate the waste treatment plant, which is a huge electric consumer. So all those things. We think that there's really in almost all these areas, if you think of it right, then you can find opportunities. It's just a matter of thinking outside the box and trying to find how could I apply this technology in a way that everyone else isn't.
I think the other thing is the mosaic of all these things working together. For instance, the thing that we haven't seen fully is taking the algae and going right to anaerobic digestion. Therefore, there's no separating the water or anything like that. And the digestion always has a byproduct of a sort of nutrient effluent as well as a solid. And there's your substrate to inoculate your char with at least some principal NPK. The glycerin and the veggie oil sludge from your biodiesel operations can go to the digester. If you're scrubbing your biogas of carbon dioxide, well, there's another carbon dioxide source. The ethanol has your carbon dioxide. So I think, depending on your site analysis, there's kind of this vector of like what's your demand and what's your resources to figure out what sort of jumps out of the page. But, I think this concept of bringing, of course, everything down in scale and then doing a mosaic thing, because we always have different demands and different applications, and these things all work together really well, which is kind of really exciting. And all that stuff is coming out.
We've been thinking about how you make the biodiesel and the jet together, for example. If you took the 20 kW, hooked that up to a chipper, for example, so you weren't burning diesel fuel in the chipper, for example. Look at that. What's the volume of chips you have left over after you've run the chipper, so to speak, for use somewhere else. You put that in the truck, you take it into town, your truck's being run off biodiesel, which you made with the BioPro, from restaurant oil from the town, kind of thing. So you're not paying $4.50 for diesel fuel, which is what it goes for up in New Mexico right now. And using a waste product, which you can get pretty much for free to make that fuel with. And so, you're minimizing your fossil fuel costs, you're utilizing your natural resources, in the case of the wood chips, to run your chipper, and also taking those chips into town to heat your buildings, or provide some power for your schools or whatever, that sort of thing. How can these things be worked together? Or you're using the heat off the gasifiers to heat your greenhouses to grow algae for the nutraceuticals. It's these complementary technologies, wisely matched according to scale, is where I think the creative challenges are. And as part of most of these programs, we ask our students to come up with a business concept. And we haven't gone into it here, but we have a whole business mapping section that goes with each one of these classes, where we look at all the different development stages you have to go through to start a business, and all the different kinds of things you have to think about. And so we realize we need to give that information to the students. Now, it may be overwhelming to some of them, they don't want to deal with it all, but folks that do want to go that route, at least we give them a sense of what they need to think about if they're going to try to create businesses. And scaling, of course, is key to all this. And some of the conversations around here are about transportation and how far do we have to move the wood chips to the gasifier, or do we move the gasifier to the wood chips, but then there's no power lines there, so we can't use the power on site necessarily. So how do we maximize all those factors so we have a successful, economically sustainable business? That's the challenge, and that's the dialogue we hope to promote through these courses.
And it's moving from static systems to dynamic systems and system integration, which is always going to be fluid, as we've addressed. So we're coming out of a model where everything is in stasis, and this is the industry, and this is what we do, regardless of the outcome or the byproducts. But here you're much more sensitive in the moment. You can change the dynamic systems to fit your needs.
And so I think we need to wrap this up, but I just want to say that this can't be done by just a few of us. It needs all of us. And so I really want to encourage us all to develop networks here of information and work through the folks here. We want to stay in touch with everybody. And I think we all need to work on this together. I think it's through the combined genius and creativity of all of us that we can get some amazing stuff done here. Okay. Thank you.